Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Winnebago County Board meeting. Tonight is Thursday, May 9th, 2024. Our invocation and pledge allegiance this evening is by Mr. Jim Webster. Please stand.
Okay, let's pray. Lord, thank you for wrapping your arms around us here lately through this spate of storms that we've had and destruction all over the country, but we've been spared that. Thank you for that, Lord. Lord, please guide us on our decision-making tonight. Guide us to doing the right thing. And we pray that they can put some end to struggles that are happening overseas, wars in 2 different areas of the world, more than that, actually. And help us to make the good decisions again tonight, Lord. Thank you. Praise God, Jesus. Thank you.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That was me.
All right, thank you, Mr. Webster. Mr. Thompson, are there any agenda announcements this evening?
No agenda announcements, thank you.
Thank you. Clerk Gummow, can you please call the roll?
Thank you, Chairman. We will start with Mr. Penny. Mr. Salgado. Mr. Scroll. Mr. Sweeney. Mr. Tassoni. Mr. Thompson. Mr. Webster. Mr. Arena. Mr. Booker. Mr. Butita. Ms. Crosby. Ms. Fellers. Mrs. Gorel. Mr. Guevara. Ms. Hansard. Mr. Hoffman. Mr. Lindmark. Mr. McCarthy. Mr. McDonald. Mr. Neighbors. Chairman, 16 board members present, 4 board members absent.
Very good. We do have a quorum this evening. Okay, tonight we have 2 proclamations to read in. Sheriff Caruana, if you want to come forward. Summonsing the sheriff. All right, so the first proclamation this evening is in recognition of National Correctional Officers Week, which is from May 5th, 2024 to May 11th, 2024. So whereas correctional officers are trained law enforcement and professionals dedicated to maintaining safe and secure correctional facilities, ensuring public safety. Whereas the duties of correctional officers include the supervision, care, and rehabilitation of offenders who have been convicted of a crime and are sentenced to serve jail time in a local, state correctional facility, halfway house, or through electronic monitoring. Whereas Winnebago County correctional staff supports the mission of the Sheriff's Department by providing secure confinement, reformative programs, and a process of supervised community reintegration, thereby helping to reduce recidivism. And whereas correctional officers meet the challenges of their profession with skill, diligence, and good humor, the environment in which correctional officers provide their knowledge and skills is one that possesses a great potential risk to their personal safety. Knowing this potential risk, they continue to meet the high standards set by their profession. And whereas on May 5th, 1984, President Ronald Reagan signed Proclamation 5187, creating National Correctional Officers Week, declaring the professionalism, dedication, and courage exhibited by these officers throughout the performance of these demanding and often conflicting roles deserve our utmost respect. So whereas correctional staff work tirelessly to bring measures of hope to offenders through education, vocational training, counseling, and treatment. So therefore, be it resolved that I, Joseph V. Shirelli, on behalf of the Winnebago County Board, recognize the week of May 5th, 2024 through May 11th, 2024 to be National Correctional Officers Week in Winnebago County in honor of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keep the county and our citizens safe. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Kevin Arden. Kevin, come on up. Guys, come on up also. All right, so, I appreciate it, and I'm glad that we have this Corrections Officers Week, because these guys really do a great job. It's a tough place to work. Like 911, they're unsung heroes. You don't see them. You see a lot of people out on the street and what they're doing on the street. But after that, these folks here behind me work diligently night and day to make sure that our inmates are protected, they get the health care that they need, they get taken to court, and they do a tough job, and sometimes it's not the easiest job, and like I said, people don't understand what they go through. It's a very tough job. I'm very proud of the representation I have behind me here. Also, I'd like to introduce Kevin Ogden. Kevin was in the Rockford PD, and I explained that before. 31 years, he was a retired deputy chief to Shea, second in command, and then he's actually been working for us for the past almost 2 years, doing background checks, and he's going to be taking over Bob Redsman's position, who's retiring. So I know Kevin's dying to say a couple words.
Hello, just really happy for the opportunity to do that, and I've been working with Bob Redmond for the greater portion of my career, and this past week and a half, trying to get up to speed on everything. Bob has been fantastic, trying to help us to make a seamless transition. So I'm really looking forward to serving with the Sheriff's Department.
And I am going to give this proclamation to Ash Fernandez. I know he wants to say a few words, and thank you for everything you do in the jail.
Thank you, everyone. Just excited to be here. We appreciate you guys' support. A lot of the support that you guys have is what helps us do our job all the time. I know that we don't get to say enough thank yous, but I got two great officers here, Johnson and Elias, that just come in and work hard every single day. So couldn't do it without a lot of these guys. So they make my job and the sheriff's job and the superintendent's job a lot easier. So it's the officers that make this place work. So thank you.
You know, Ash was telling me we've had tremendous volunteers of giving back to the corrections facility as far as lunches and dinners, people out in the community that see what they're doing, and he said that it's the response is just great. So, and I appreciate people in the community understanding what these folks do. So thank you.
Okay, our next proclamation is in recognition of National Police Week, which is May 12th through the 18th, 2024. So whereas the Congress and President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which May 15th falls is National Police Week. And whereas the members of the Winnebago County Sheriff's Department and all other law enforcement agencies located in Winnebago County play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of Winnebago County. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, the hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement agencies, and men and women of the law enforcement agencies in Winnebago County recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression, and unceasingly providing a vital public service. Now therefore, I, Joseph Shirelli, Chairman of the Winnebago County Board, on behalf of the Winnebago County Board, do hereby proclaim the week of May 12th through 18th, 2024 as National Police Week, and call upon all citizens to observe this week with appropriate ceremonies and observances in which all our people may join in commemorating law enforcement officers, past and present, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities, and in doing so have established for themselves an enviable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. And I further call upon all citizens of Winnebago County to observe May 15, 2024 as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of those law enforcement officers who, through their courageous deeds, have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their community and have become disabled in the performance of their duty, and let us recognize and pay respect to the survivors of our fallen heroes. Therefore, be it resolved, the Winnebago County Board and the Winnebago County Chairman recognize the week of May 12th through May 18th, 2024 to be National Police Week in Winnebago County in honor of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keep the county and our citizens safe. So congratulations, Sheriff.
Thank you. You know, again, just like Corrections Week, the Police Week Memorial is very touching. There's a lot of people that have given their lives to keep our United States safe, our county safe, our city safe. If you have not been, it's the 44th Annual Police Memorial Service. It's this Wednesday at 7 p.m., and it's at 2821 North Bell School Road, Westminster Church. It's very touching. And we have a few representatives. I certainly will be there. Deputy Coroner Matt Lane's going to be there, and the Coroner James Kirby's, he sings, and he did last year, a very nice tribute. So, and then we have at Cherryvale Mall from the 17th through the 19th, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. We will have it staffed with our deputies and, you know, some of the squad cars and some of the things that we use, like the robot for bombs and just different things. So if you, you know, have nothing to do or you'd like to pay tribute, it's kind of really very interesting, and it's quite touching on what these folks do, like in corrections, like in patrol. You know, everybody's out there, again, keeping us safe, and I appreciate you giving us a proclamation. So thank you.
Very good, thank you. Okay, we do not have any other presentations, public hearings, or public participation this evening, so we'll move on to approval of the minutes. May I entertain a motion to approve the April 11th, 2024 minutes and the layover the April 25th, 2024 minutes. I got a motion by Mr. Guevara, second by Mr. Thompson. Is there any discussion on the approval or layover of the minutes? Hearing none, are there any board members opposed to the layover or the approval of the minutes? Very good. Please cast a yes for all members present. Next is the consent agenda, which includes the raffle report and the auditor's report. May I entertain a motion for that? We have a motion by Mr. Thompson and a second by Mr. McCarthy. Is there any discussion this evening on the raffle report or the auditor's report? Hearing none, are there any board members opposed to approval of the raffle report or auditor's report? Very good. Please cast a yes for all members present. Next are the appointments per county board rules. The county board chairman appointments require a 30-day layover unless there is a suspension of the rule. Tonight I read in for Cherry Valley Fire Protection District. The annual compensation is $4,500. For Mr. Steve Schwartz, that is a reappointment to serve a 3-year term expiring May of 2027. Next is the New Milford Fire Protection District. The annual compensation is $1,000, and it's a reappointment for Mr. Robert Sickler to serve a 3-year term expiring May 2027. Next is the North Park Public Water District. The annual compensation is $1,200. And Mr. Todd Scott, that is a reappointment to serve a 5-year term expiring May of 2029. Next is the Northwest Fire Protection District. The annual compensation is $1,000. That is also a reappointment of Mr. Matt Lawrence to serve a 3-year term expiring May of 2027. And lastly, the Otter Creek Utility Board, the compensation is none, and that is a reappointment for Mr. Roger Allen for a 5-year term expiring on May of 2029. So next, we move on to our reports of standing committees. First committee is the Finance Committee. Mr. Butita.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, we have an ordinance to read in and to lay over a budget amendment for the Winnebago County Health Department.
That's to be laid over.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And then we have one resolution authorizing a cost of living adjustment to the salary of the Winnebago County Supervisor of Assessments, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Butita, second by Mr. Lindmark. Is there any discussion? Ms. Gorel, you want to second the motion? Your question?
Yes, but
Okay.
after.
Ms. Gorel.
I just want to suspend the rules on that layover for the health department, please.
Okay, we'll go back to that because we're on the resolution right now. Okay. So any other discussion on the resolution for this evening? Hearing none, are there any board members opposed to the approval of that resolution? Very good. Please cast yes for all members present. The resolution is approved. Mr. Butita? do you have
That's
any-
all we have right now.
Oh, I'm
Ms.
sorry.
Gorel.
Yes, I would like to suspend the rules on the layover for the budget amendment for the Winnebago County Health Department.
So for the item number 3 under finance, there's been a motion to suspend the rules. Is there a second on that motion? A second by Mr. Salgado. Are there any board members opposed to the suspension of rules for this item this evening? Any board members opposed to the suspension of rules? Mr. Lindmark, opposition?
I'd just like to know why the suspension and why it was laid over to begin with. Was that just a normal policy where we lay them over, or
That's correct.
what is the reasoning for the suspension? I'm not against it, I just want to know the reasoning.
May I have Jim
Yes.
stand up and tell you? He's our finance man. Jim, would you please stand up and tell them why?
So Angie, Ms. Gorel, and sir, there is no debate during the suspension of rules by our policy. So I was just informed by our state's attorney. So
I'm pardon? I didn't.
by state's attorney advice, there's no discussion during the vote for suspension of rules by our policy.
They just asked why.
Yes.
And I'm not qualified to answer why.
So for a suspension of the rule, you make the motion second, and then there's a vote taken.
Right.
If the rules are suspended, then it can be put on the floor by another motion.
Correct.
However it works. Thank you.
Yep. So we have a motion and a second to suspend the rules. Are there any board members opposed to the suspension of rules? All right, hearing none, please cast a yes for all members present. The rules are suspended.
Mr. Lindmark.
Mr. Lindmark, still in opposition? Very good. Mr. Butita?
All right, well, then I'll move for the ordinance to
Approval?
be approved, yes.
Mr. Butita moved to approve the ordinance. Is there a second for the approval of the ordinance? Second by Mr. Thompson. Now we can have discussion. Ms. Gorel, if you want to ask your question again.
You still have can I still have Jim tell why?
That they need it moved forward? Sure.
Jim, would you please come forward?
He's going to have to come to a microphone. A microphone.
If you want to step over here, sir.
Turn on the mic. Here you go. You come over here. Or wherever you want to. Okay. Right here, Jim. Here. Here.
Hello, microphone.
Excuse-
Swear 'em in.
Who you are.
I'm James Keeler, Finance Director, Winnebago County Health Department. And we have a couple of budget amendments. One is for increased expenses for demolitions, which which are on a tight timeline. So the sooner that we can have those approved and move forward, the better. There's $10,000 for medical supplies, which our grantee would like spent before June 30th, so time is of the essence of that. And there's a large $389,000 that would move from the building fund to the health fund, because the health fund paid for a sizable demolition that was not in our budget plans, and so we're contemplating a cost of living adjustment. So all these items kind of help to eliminate the variables so we can go about the business.
All right, thank you, sir. Is there any other discussion? Mr. Arena?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'm not sure, maybe this would be a question for Mr. Butita or Mr. Schultz. What's the source of funds for this?
Mr. Schultz? Mr. Butita?
I believe this is just a transfer of funds, if I'm correct, from one health department account to another health department account. Plus, we're approving also a grant of a small grant for the medical supplies, correct? So it's just a transfer from, I think, the 555 North Court, or the other way around, from the health department to the 555 account. Is that correct?
Actually, from 555 fund to the health fund.
So it's an internal transfer within their department.
So it's just like a bookkeeping process?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion for this ordinance this evening? Mr. Sweeney?
Mr. Chairman, and I'm sorry, I was not able to make committee this last Thursday, but just what is the dollar amount of the cost overruns on the demolition?
It was a demolition project for $389,000.
Well, how much is the amendment of the overrun?
That is the amount of the amendment. It was for demolition of the building at 401 Division Street.
It cost $389,000 more dollars than anticipated?
Well, it was not, it was, I think it was a time that was of the essence, so it wasn't provided in the health department's budget, so.
Okay.
So the entire amount would be a budget overrun.
Okay.
Gotcha, okay.
That makes sense? Okay. Any other discussion on the ordinance this evening? Mr. Penny?
Just clarifying, so did it go out to bid, or has it already gone through the bid process?
Yes, it has.
Okay.
Through the bid process.
Remember when that was?
It was last November.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The building has already been demolished.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
it's gone.
Yeah.
They're seeding it now.
Any other discussion on this ordinance? Mr. Lindmark?
I just wanted to get clarification if there was, with the reasoning by suspending the rules, because we try to stay consistent and having the layovers.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Lindmark. Mr. Webster?
Yeah, I'm just curious, when we transfer money from one fund to another, then the fund that it came from is, how do you make up for the loss in that fund that you took it from?
Mr.
Follow
Schultz?
me?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So you remember that the 555 North Court Street was something that moved over to the possession of the health department in this last 12 months or so. And so they, in that sense, it's their fund. They really were the ones that made that North Court Street fund work to begin with, in that they were on the hook for any additional dollars that were needed to handle that building. And there was a balance because of what they put into it, as well as renters, that occurred over a period of time. Some of that balance came back to the general fund when we did this transition, and then some of it was passed on to the health department to pay off the bonds on 555 North Court Street, and there was a residual balance. And so because the health department will be managing that asset and also dealing with any expenses related to that going forward, if they determine that the balance that's still there is more than adequate for what they'll need, then I think the transfer is reasonable. In the future, if there are extra expenses that are required for that building, that will also have to be resolved by the health department.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Discussion on this item? If not, are there any board members opposed to the approval of this ordinance? Very good. Please cast a yes for all members present. Mr. Butita.
Thank you, that'll do it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Butita. Thank you, sir. All right. Next is the zoning committee for Mr. Webster.
Thank you. We have no report.
Thank you, Mr. Webster. Economic Development Committee, Mr. Sweeney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have no report.
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney. Operation Administrative Committee, Mr. McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have no report.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. Public Works Committee, Mr. Tassoni.
Thank you, Chairman. No report tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Tassoni. Public Safety and Judiciary Committee, Mr. Lindmark.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No report tonight. We will be meeting next Wednesday in room 303, not 503.
Next Wednesday at 3:03, 5:30. Thank you, Mr. Lindmark. Legislative Lobbying Committee, Mr. Salgado.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No report from us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Salgado. Moving on to unfinished business. Tonight, we do have unfinished business under Winnebago County Community Mental Health Board. Annual compensation is none. We had placed up Margie Lindmark. That is a new appointment to serve the remainder of a 4-year term expiring January 2028. That is before the board this evening. Is there a motion? We have a motion by Mr. Arena and second by Mr. Webster, Mr. McCarthy. Is there any discussion on this appointment? Hearing none, are there any board members opposed to the appointment of Margie Lindmark? So we have Ms. Gorel, Ms. Hansert. Opposed? Any other opposition? Very good. Margie Lindmark has been appointed. Thank you. New business in front of the county board this evening. Any new business? None. Announcement and communications. I know Clerk Gummow has some correspondence.
Thank you, Chairman. The items listed below are received as correspondence.
Do we have any board member correspondence? Mr. Sweeney and then Ms. Gorel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to announce to the board, late last year, my colleagues very kindly approved my nomination to the Quad Cities Regional Economic Development Authority, and this committee does not meet all the time, but it finally met. I attended my first meeting yesterday, actually, where I casted a vote to initiate roughly $10 million in bonds for a piece of a capital stack put together for a deal in Freeport. And I've been doing my best to talk to different mayors and village presidents throughout our county, but if you have people that you talk to in your respective districts, you know, this authority has $250 million in bonding authority for things as broad from housing to manufacturing, all kinds of different things, and it can bring with it its own enterprise zones, a neat economic development tool that we're now part of. And there's roughly $200 million of unspent, credit that this entity basically has. And I told that board in my introduction that I'm eager to try to find a project worthy of being involved in to do something good around here. So feel free to call me if you have any ideas.
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney. Thank you for your service on that board. Ms. Gorel?
I want to thank you. You had me do the proclamation for the Holocaust Memorial observance, which was on May 6th. That was my pleasure to be able to do that. Thank you for asking me to do that proclamation. And everyone there said, thank you, Chairman.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. It was my grandson's first communion, so
Oh,
it was equally special. Mr. Booker?
Thank you, Chairman. Just a reminder, PECSing, the County Fairgrounds, 18th and 19th of May. Antique, craft, food, whatever show at Peck Fairgrounds. Thank you very much.
Very good, thank you. Peck Fairgrounds. Any other correspondence by board members? Mr. Lindmark?
I'd just like to echo Sheriff Caruana's thoughts on Police Week. I've been part of a few of the different events in the memorial service. If everyone could find it in their hearts to give a prayer for our police officers, the fallen police officers, and keeping them safe. Also, we are very lucky to have the leaders we have in our community, our first responders. Bob Redmond did a great job down at the jail, but Chief Kevin Ogden came out of retirement and is helping us at the county. I think be a big asset, so thank you for coming back and helping the community full-time, Chief.
Very good. Any further correspondence? Mr. Webster? He's got his hand up. Motion to adjourn by Mr. Webster, second by Mr. Guevara. All in favor of the adjournment, say aye. Aye. We're adjourned.